Hello students, good morning. In this session, I would like to talk on physiology of respiration in silkworm Bombyx mori in particular and insects in general. See, this slide shows both overall morphology and overall anatomy of silkworm larva. In the above picture, you can observe 9 pairs of spiracles. Spiracles are nothing but the respiratory openings. First pair is located on the first thoracic segment, and the remaining 8 pairs of spiracles are present from first abdominal segment to 8th abdominal segment. And the below picture shows the overall anatomy. If you remove the skin, you can observe this view. Of this, you can observe the tracheal system. See, this is the tracheal bushes. Bush means this is nothing but the branches, group, just like a dictionary meaning. Tracheal bushes you can observe. See, in insects, the respiration takes place by the tracheal system. Insects, the intake of air for oxygen and distribution of air within the body is performed by a fine network of tubules called tracheal system. And this tracheal system or tracheae are invaginations of the cuticle. Cuticle is nothing but the outermost layer of the insect, which branch everywhere among the tissues, which convey the oxygen directly to the site of utilization. Site of utilization is nothing but the cell. Within the cell, mitochondria is the site of utilization. And the hemolymph is not concerned with the gas transport. In higher organisms, in mammals, blood plays a very important role in gas transport, but here the hemolymph is not concerned with the gas transport. See, this picture shows the spiracles which are present on the silkworm larval body. See, spiracle is the external opening through which air enters into the tracheal system or trachea. The respiratory function is carried out through the spiracles by the movement of body wall. See, intake of air and expel of the carbon dioxide, air carried out through the spiracles by the movement of body wall. There are 9 pairs of spiracles, one on each side of the prothorax and from first to 8 abdominal segments. It has a chamber or atrium with an opening and a closing mechanism called arterial valve. Just beneath the spiracle, there is a chamber, there is a atrium. The chamber is known as atrium with an opening and closing mechanism called arterial valve. The spiracle is surrounded by sclerite called peritrium. See, this peritrium is nothing but the rigid frame of the spiracle, which gives a structure to the spiracle. Closing and opening of spiracle is regulated by atrial valve. See, depending upon the requirement of oxygen or expel of the carbon dioxide from the body, the spiracles opens and closes depending upon the body requirement. Peristigmatic glands present around the spiracle that prevents the wetting of organs. These glands secretes a fluid which protects from the wetting of organs. See, this is the structure of spiracle, enlarged one. It consists of a peritrium, the outermost rigid structure. It may be called as a frame. And we can also observe the central opening and a sieve plate. This is the structure of spiracle. As the tracheal system is continuously exposed to the atmospheric air, there is every chances of moisture loss from the tracheal system. So during respiration, there is every chances of moisture loss. But to prevent this desiccation or moisture loss, insects developed a perispiracular glands. Perispiracular glands. Above the spiracles, there are glands. These perispiracular glands are distributed on the inner surface of the tracheal system. So these are unicellular glands, secretes a hydrophobic oily substance. So basically it's a oily substance which covers the inner surface of the tracheal system, so that which can keep the surface oily and moist. At the same time, it prevents the moisture loss during respiration, because the silkworm has a main thing is physiology of digestion, maintenance of water balance, maintenance of water. So this perispiracular glands prevents the moisture loss during the respiration. See, the trachea are lined with a thin layer of cuticle which is thickened to form spiracle rings that give them rigidity. And these tracheoles are lined by cuticle continuous with that of the body wall. See, as I told you in the beginning, this respiratory system, tracheal system, has the origin as in case of cuticle, so it's a continuous with that of the body wall. Thread-like ridges run spirally around the inner circumference and form the so-called spiral thread. The spiracular thickening is known as ctenidium. The ctenidia prevents the collapse of tracheal system when filled with air. They present a silvery appearance. The smallest branch of tracheae are the tracheoles. Smallest branch, just like a capillary. Tracheoles are the smallest branches of tracheal system. The tracheoles are less than 1 micron in diameter. They end blindly and closely contact the respiring tissue. It is intracellular in nature, but enclosed only in the cytoplasm of the tracheal end cell called tracheoblast. Gaseous exchange occurs here. It provides for a tremendous amount of surface area. Though such a network of tracheae and tracheoles, oxygen is carried to the various parts, tissues and cells of the body, and carbon dioxide is expelled, removed through the same channels. See, this is the diagrammatic representation of respiratory system in silkworm larva, showing the tracheal distribution, tracheal system distribution. The number of tracheal branches starts radially from the spiracular cavity next to the atrium and looks like bushes called tracheal bushes. Here you can observe. See, this is the one tracheal bush. This is another tracheal bush. This is another one. Okay, so you can observe. You can find 9 pairs of tracheal bushes. Okay, all the 9 tracheal bushes get connected laterally by longitudinal lateral tracheal trunk. See, this is the longitudinal lateral tracheal trunk. So there are 2 lateral tracheal trunks. One is here, another one is on the other side. And the 2 tracheal bushes in the respective segments. Say this is the first 2 thoracic segments. This is the lateral one. Another one is on that side. Another one is on that side. The 2 tracheal bushes in the respective segments get connected by transverse ventral tracheal commissure. See, you can observe here you can observe tracheal commissure. See, this is one tracheal bush, this is one tracheal bush, so it connects the other tracheal bush. That is called as transverse ventral tracheal commissure. Tracheae ramify repeatedly, they divide repeatedly and forms tracheoles. So the diameter of the tracheole is approximately 1 micron, just like capillaries. See these diagrams showing the distribution of trachea and movement of gas. See here, see, this is the tracheal bush just beneath the respiratory opening, that is a spiracle, and see, this is the oxygen goes in, carbon dioxide comes out. This is the epithelial cells. Trachea are lined by cuticle continuous with that of the body wall. It has a characteristic striated appearance due to the thread-like ridges which run helically around the inner circumference and form tinidium. You can observe the tinidium here. This is the tinidium. It prevents the collapsing of trachea. If the pressure increases by chance, by increasing the air pressure, it may collapse. If there is no air in the tracheal system, again tracheal system may collapse. But presence of this tinidium prevents from collapsing of trachea, either pressure increases or by decreases. There is a membrane between the tinidium is called intertinidial membrane. In between the tinidium there is a membrane, intertinidial membrane. It is very thin and highly flexible. It can stretch. So trachea can stretch to double length without breaking them. So the tinidia and thin membrane provide the necessary rigidity as well as flexibility to the tracheal system. Tracheal membrane, it measures about 0.01 to 0.02 micron thickness, very less in thickness. See, this is another picture showing the internal view of tracheal system. See, this is the intima, this is the tinidia, this is the tinidia. Epithelial cell layer is covered with a cellular basement membrane. This is this picture shows the mechanism of gas transport. See, this is the tracheal system. These fine networks are nothing but the tracheoles which contains the air. See, this air diffuses into the required cell. Required cell are site of utilization. When trachea has been reduced by repeated branching or divisions to a diameter of 2 to 5 micron, it enters a large satellite cell, the tracheal end cell or transitional cell, and there break-ups abruptly into a number of tracheal capillaries. Tracheal capillaries are tracheoles, which are less than 1 micron in thickness. These tracheoles are interconnected with each other and form a mat over tissue. It is generally supposed that the passage of oxygen from tracheoles into the tissue takes place by physical diffusion. But several authors have suggested that the tracheal epithelium and particularly the tracheal end cells play a more active part. So the breathing occurs, as we discussed in the beginning, breathing occurs by the body movement, body wall movement. The tracheoles end in the tissues in various ways. In the gut and salivary gland, they ramify and pass between the cells without penetrating them. See, this tracheal distribution is directly depending upon the rate of metabolism of a particular tissue. In the gut as well as salivary gland, they divide, they distribute between the cells without penetrating the cells. In the fat body and rectal papillae, however, they may enter cells. Fat body and rectal papillae, the rate of metabolism is high when compared to the gut, while in the flight muscles, there is a network of intracellular tracheoles. In flight muscles, there is a large quantity of oxygen is required. So here we can observe a network of intracellular tracheoles. A solitary exception is the forepart of the silk gland which has no tracheation. See, in a silk gland we can observe three parts: fore, middle and hind. Forepart acts as a carrier, for the silk from midgut reservoir to the spinneret. So here the rate of metabolism is very less. So here there is no need of tracheation. That's why, see, this paragraph clearly indicates the distribution of tracheal system, tracheoles, is directly depending upon the rate of metabolism of the particular tissue. Thank you.